going on, and welcome back. Before we get started, I need to apologize for the noise. That's my air conditioner, man. It's 9 o'clock at night right now when I'm filming this, and it's still 90 degrees outside, so I cannot turn that thing off because it's gonna get hot in here. So again, I apologize. So I want to tell you the story on how I discovered gaming for the first time. It's 1986, and I had never heard of the term video games or gaming or consoles or anything like that, right? If you watched last week's video, my grandma would go and pick me up, and I'd go spend the weekends with her. Let's face it, with her, not my dad. Because my dad was never home, man. He was either like working or hooking up with chicks. I think he was hooking up with chicks. Anyways, it's all good. So I would really go spend the weekend with my grandma. This Friday, and I'll never forget this for as long as I live. This Friday, when she got out of work, she was a nurse at the hospital here. She got out of work, she went to pick me up. I wasn't going to spend the weekend with her. I was just going to go spend a few hours over there with her at the house. I'm there, one of my cousins is there, and we're out there hanging out, playing outside or whatever. And it's getting dark outside, and she calls us in, we eat dinner. Well, I guess his parents were going out for the evening, but before they left, they brought him something. Something I'll never ever forget. So they show up, and his dad's got this box. He's got this box that says Nintendo Entertainment System on it. And I'm like, what is this thing? What is this? So they take it out, they hook it up, and they put in the Super Mario Brothers. And I'm seeing video games for the very first time in my life. And I'm like, oh my God. What is this thing? This is amazing. I was in total shock. I'm not kidding you. Like, I was in shock. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And they started playing the Super Mario Brothers. I was like, oh my gosh. That began a serious addiction. A very serious.
Okay, I found this on the web for a serious addiction. Check it out.
Dude. What the hell, dude? Are you serious? No. Dude, that was crazy. Anyways, so why is it serious? It sounded like Siri. Anyways, so where was I? This always happens. Have you noticed this always happens? I lost my train of thought. Oh my gosh. So they were like, you wanna try it out? I was like, yeah, man, of course, dude. So I sat there and I started playing Super Mario Brothers for the first time in my entire life. A video game. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. That afternoon, my grandmother gave me a ride back home, and I told my mom about this thing, and I told my grandparents. And dude, it's like I had a sickness in the mind. I could not stop thinking or obsessing over the NES. I was like, dude, I want one of these so bad. And back then, in 1986, they were brand new, right? They had just come out, and they were like $200. $200 back then was a lot of money in '86. That's like almost $500 now. So there was no way my grandparents were gonna buy me one, or my mom. There's no way. That was way too much money. So I had to go, play my cousin's NES. And believe me, we played the shit out of it. I loved it. So we're gonna fast forward to a year later. I'm in school. There's this kid named Ambrosio. I hope I'm saying that right. Ambrosio. And this kid, man, his family was very low income. This was a very low income family. They had like a 2-bedroom house. They lived down the street from me, maybe 6 blocks down the street from me. And his sister had entered him into a raffle at the grocery store for an NES, and the son of a bitch won. I was so jealous. I was so jealous of this guy. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. of all people, I'm thinking, I'm like, what, 9? No, I was 10 years old then. I was like, of all people, to have an NES, this little son of a bitch got one. So we knew each other at school, but we didn't like hang out. Oh, I changed that. I needed to feed my addiction. Have you ever seen like a drug addict fiending for like drugs when he doesn't have any? He's like, oh God, he'll do anything to get them. That was me. That was me over the NES. So I was like, dude, I need to make friends with this guy so I can play the Super Mario Brothers. Well, was I addicted to the NES or was I addicted to Super Mario Brothers? I don't know. I was just addicted to gaming now. So it became a real problem. So I'd ride my bike to his house. I remember I rode my bike to his house. I was knocking on his door, and he answered. And he looked at me. He's like, well, "What the hell is this guy doing here?" I was like, "Hey man, you want to hang out or whatever?" He's like, "Yeah." So he come outside, and we're outside, and I'm just thinking, dude, I don't want to be outside. I want to be inside playing your Nintendo. And we were just hanging out. And I was like, I didn't know how to tell. I was like, hey, let's go inside and play your games, right? So we're out there hanging out, and I'm like, hey man, I heard that I heard you had a Nintendo. And he was like, yeah, I did. He's like, my sister won it. He said his sister won it, but she entered his name in the raffle. I don't know. She was working at the grocery store at the time, but employees came, enter raffles. But he's like, yeah, my sister won it. I was like, can we go inside and play it? And he's like, yeah, let's go inside. So we started playing Super Mario Brothers, and I was like, dude, I want this. I want this console. I want this console at my house. I don't want to play it over here. I want to play it at my house. So I go to his house every day, every single day. And remember, this guy, this kid and his family, they're a very low income family. He didn't have a bicycle. I would ride my bicycle to his house every day. I think you can see where this is going. So I was like, dude, he's like, man, I really want a bike. I was like, in my mind, I was like, I really want your Nintendo. So I was like, hey, listen, I'll tell you what. I'll give you my bicycle if you give me your NES. And he was like, dude, he thought about it, and he thought about it really, really hard because he really wanted that bike. And I didn't have the best bike in the world, actually. It was a pretty crappy bike. So he's like, let me see what I can do. He's like, let me ask my sister, and I'll let you know something tomorrow. Next day at school, he's like, hey, I'm gonna give you my Nintendo, but you're gonna give me your bicycle. I was like, dude, that's fine. That is fine. So after school, dude, I could not wait. I could not wait for this day to be over. After school, I got home and I told my grandma, I was like, you need to follow me to Ambrosio's house. She knew the kid, right? She knew where he lived and everything. I was like, you need to follow me to Ambrosio's house. He's gonna give me his Nintendo, and I'm gonna give him my bicycle. She's like, are you sure you want to do this? I was like, yes. It's like she did not understand how bad I wanted this thing. I was like, yes. So she followed me over to his house, and I knock on his door, and I was like, I got your bike. And he handed me a grocery bag. He's like, I got your Nintendo. I was like, dude, you see, back then we wouldn't keep boxes. After they got the Nintendo, they threw the box away. I did the same thing with games. I think we all did when we were growing up. So I was like, dude, I don't even care. Just take me home now. The sad thing is, and dude, this is gonna make me look like an ass. It's gonna make me look like an ass. But it's the truth, man. I'm telling you the truth. I stopped hanging out with him after I got what I wanted. That's what I was going for. That's what I wanted. At the time, I wasn't expecting to trade a bike for an NES, but that's just the way it turned out. So I was like, I kind of stopped hanging out with him. I stopped going to his house. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie to you. I stopped going to his house. I was like, okay. And he got his bike, and I got my Nintendo. And dude, I was so happy. I was so happy. You wouldn't even believe. I finally got what I wanted. Now, something happened a month later. That, gosh, dude, I was devastated. Completely devastated. The damn thing stopped working. The NES stopped working. Now, that's what I thought, right? I thought this thing broke. At the time, I didn't know, and it's, you needed to, like, when you put the card in, sometimes, you know, the screen would just be like a blank screen. It would be either like purple, pink, it'd flash. So at the time, I was like, this thing is broke. What happened? I didn't know you had to jiggle the cart. You had to jiggle the cart in the console, or clean the, you know, the connectors or whatever. I was like, dude, this thing's broke. No, you know what? Okay, so that was happening, and I kind of figured it out. But everything on the screen was looking all like the Matrix, and I was like, dude, this thing is destroyed. But actually, it really wasn't. So I think that was in Christmas that year. I told my grandma, I was like, man, this thing's broke. I don't have a bike anymore. Dude, I was so bummed. I was so, like, bummed out. I think that Christmas, it was either that Christmas or for my birthday that I got my very first, well, not my very first Nintendo. His Nintendo was my very first Nintendo. I got my very, you know, brand new console. That's the console I had for years. I don't have it anymore. I still have an NES, but it's not the original one that I grew up with. But yeah, man, I wanted to come on here and you know, tell the story on how I got an NES and my gaming addiction and how bad it was, dude. It was pretty bad. I couldn't get the console, the NES out of my mind, Super Mario Brothers. But yeah, man, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have this right now. It's crazy. But before we get out of here, hey Siri, can you say goodbye?
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
No, thank you. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.